Imagine losing all your special memories and not being able to remember simple details about your life, like your name or your friends and your family. This is what life is like for someone with Alzheimer's disease. In this speech, I'll inform you about Alzheimer's disease. I'm credible to talk about this because I've seen patients with the disease and have done research on the topic. Let me tell you about the various aspects of the disease. First, I'll give you a general idea about the disease and the symptoms. Second, I'll tell you about how it not only affects the person, but the entire family. And last, I'll tell you about the stages of the disease and the prognosis. So what is it? Alzheimer's is an irreversible degenerative disease of the brain. Scientists don't know exactly what causes it, but a doctor named Dennis J. Salke said that mounting evidence suggests that the disease begins with subtle altercations of hippocampal synaptic efficacy prior to neuronal degeneration. The synaptic dysfunction is caused by an assembly of the amyloid beta protein. So the hippocampus is where our memories are, and I put a picture of a synapse because a synapse is the neurons connecting, and that's how our brains communicate. So without that, obviously things will fall apart. Some of the most common symptoms of it are just memory loss and trouble finding words, forgetting things you did throughout the day. Alzheimer's is the sixth leading cause of death in the U.S. and more than 5.5 million people have it. Alzheimer's is named after the Dr. Alois Alzheimer. He studied neurodegenerative diseases and how symptoms related to physical brain changes. He had a patient who showed all the symptoms of Alzheimer's, like the memory loss, and then also had an autopsy of her brain, and it was totally shrunk, so he just connected the two. So first, I told you about the disease and the symptoms, and next I will tell you about how it affects the entire family. So it has a big effect on the family, emotionally and physically. Emotionally, because it's just heartbreaking to see one of your family members literally deteriorate in front of your eyes. And second, physically, because not only are you taking care of them, almost 24-hour care, taking them everywhere, helping them with everything, but also they can have irrational behavior that can be challenging to deal with. It can also change the family roles because the person with AD will no longer be able to contribute much. They won't be able to cook for the family, won't be able to provide transportation. And then if they were bringing in money, won't be able to bring in money anymore. And then it's also a big financial burden because cost in treating for people with AD will surpass $1 trillion this year. So second, I told you about the effect on the family, and lastly, I will tell you about the different stages and the prognosis of the disease. So there's 7 stages. Stages 1 through 3 is just mild decline, so forgetting just little things, forgetting things about your day, losing ability to think and reason, forgetting like plans you made, repeating yourself. Stages 4 through 6 is a more moderate decline where you'll forget more big details about your life, like your name, your address, your phone number, and then you may have be delusional and have hallucinations. For example, with the hallucination, some people wake up and think, oh, I have to go to work, when really they haven't been working in 10 years. And then the last stage, stage 7, is the most severe decline where you literally lose all basic abilities, can't eat, talk, walk. And so there's no cure for Alzheimer's, but scientists have found a little bit of hope with lithium. A doctor and professor at Tufts School of Medicine, James Greenblatt, has found that lithium may help in preventing an early treatment of the disease. He said in a study reported in Alzheimer's research, a tiny dose of 0.3 milligrams of lithium was administered once daily to Alzheimer's patients for 15 months. The patients receiving the lithium had stable results in cognitive performance tests throughout the study, while test results in the control group demonstrated progressive decline. So the lithium helped the patients, their test scores go up, and then the control group, their test scores not only didn't go up, but declined. So the lithium is a little bit of hope. So last, I told you about the stages of the disease and the prognosis. And I talked about 3 aspects of Alzheimer's disease. First, what the disease is and the symptoms. Second, how the disease affects the whole family. And last, I talked about the stages and the prognosis. In conclusion, Alzheimer's disease is a heartbreaking disease that comes on quickly and declines quickly and really affects the whole family. And last, I just have a timeline about it. So first is just early brain changes, then subtle decline in thinking, memory changes, confusion, and then inability to breathe, dress, or eat without help, and then lastly, the loss of ability to communicate and recognize your loved ones.